we made it inside. So we got through the door, knocked on the door, overcame objections, we got inside the house, all right? The next step is we want to notice things about this person, right? People like to talk about themselves. Here I am on camera talking about what we do, right? People like to talk about themselves. So we want to engage with the client about things they care about, right? There's pictures on the wall, grandkids, there's a dog, right? Most people have dogs. What's your dog's name? How long have you lived here? We're going to build rapport. I like to say 3 to 5 minutes of it, okay? Not a ton of rapport, and I like to get down to what we're here for. That way we can kind of get to the qualification process of, is this somebody I can help or not? So a little rapport. People like to talk about core, and that would be, you know, what their occupation was, right? What they'd like to do for recreation, their education, and their children, right? So their children, occupation, recreation, and education. People love to talk about their kids. They love to talk about what they did. How long have they lived here is a very common thing I'll ask, okay? So now we sit down, and I think it's important to have a transitional moment, okay? So we've talked about the check lead or the yes lead or the direct mail lead. A lot of times the client may take that to look at it, and you know, so whenever my transitional moment is going to be whenever I take that back from the client or I ask for it. So let's assume, knock on the door, we walk inside, we're sitting down. Is it okay if I sit right here on your couch? A lovely couch you guys have here. And so we sit down on the couch, and I'll be talking to Miss Susie, and then I'll say, Miss Susie, do you mind if I hold on to that card? Or if I already have the card, I'll say, Miss Susie, you put on this card that you are 77 years old. Is that still correct? And on that card, you put your 77. And the reason I ask that is because if they're not 77 or they're about to turn 78 tomorrow, that's important in our qualification process and when we're going to quote them, okay? So I get the card back. That transitions me into what we are at now as my presentation, okay? So presentation, I'm going to say, Miss Susie, everybody that we meet with is between 50 and 85. And it looks like you're 75 here, so you're kind of in the middle there, all right? Now, everybody that I meet with, Miss Susie, is in one of two categories. The first category is they don't have any whole life protection, but they're looking to get something in place to protect their loved ones, whether that's kids, grandkids, a spouse, to make sure that if something happened to them, they're not going to leave a burden behind on their family, okay? The second category is we meet with a lot of people who already have something. And at this point in time, they want to make sure they have the right type of coverage, that they have enough, and that they're not overpaying. This is really important to talk about in your two categories. You do not want to say, Miss Susie, everybody we meet with is in one of two categories. Number one, you don't have any life insurance. Number two, you have some life insurance. Okay, we want to dress up the category to make it look better, right? We want the presentation to be better. So not only am I putting them in a category, I'm creating this dynamic that they have to fit into one of these boxes, but I'm also creating the categories, and I'm in that category, I'm guiding them to where we want them to go. So the first one, we meet with a lot of people, they feel included, who don't have any whole life protection. I didn't just say they don't have any insurance. And I talk about the protection aspect because that's the emotional draw on why this is so important. After we talk about what they don't have, we talk about, but they're looking to get something in place because they want to protect their loved ones, those kids on the wall, your dog, your spouse is sitting over there. You don't want them to be on the street and in a horrible position if something was to happen to you. So I tell them what category they're in, or they tell me I'm in category number one. And then we talk about, well, I repeat myself. So Miss Susie, if you're in category number one, just like most people I meet with, you don't have anything in place, but that means you're looking to get something in place, correct? And I'm nodding and motioning because we want them to follow our body language on where we're guiding them, okay? So category number one, I don't have any whole life protection in place, but I'm looking to get something in place. Category number two, they say, oh, I've already got life insurance. Great. Most people I meet with do already have something, but it's important to make sure they have the right type. They have enough that they're not overpaying. So now I get to ask Miss Susie, what type of coverage do you have? And I'm going to shut up. I'm going to ask that question. And the reason I'm going to stop talking after that is because now I'm forcing them to know more about their insurance than most people do. They got to give me a type of coverage. So if they can say, well, I'm not sure, now I have the opportunity to educate the client. And that is extremely important in creating this platform of I'm the expert, they are not. So they don't know what they have. We're going to find out what they have. That allows me the opportunity to get a policy out, call the customer, call the client, and so forth. So the intro to our presentation is put them in a category. Are you in category number 1 or are you in category number 2? Real quick back through it without any obstruction. This video, I don't want it to go too long. Miss Susie, everybody we meet with is in one of 2 categories. The first category is they don't have any whole life protection, but they're looking to get something in place to protect their loved ones. The second category is we meet with a lot of people who already have something in place. And at this point in time, they want to make sure they have the right type of coverage, that they have enough, and that they're simply not overpaying. Which one of those categories best describes your situation?